Hey Lobo fans, this is Jemarl Baker, guard for the New Mexico Lobos, and this is episode 65 of the Talking Grammar podcast.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeff Grammer with the Albuquerque Journal. Glad you're listening, glad you're watching, however you're tuning in this week for the Talking Grammar podcast. We're on episode 65 now. We've enjoyed all the feedback you guys have been giving us after the first two episodes with Lobo head men's basketball coach Richard Patino. This week, we got a player. We got one of the 4 Division I transfers for the Lobo roster this year, and it's Jemarl Baker Jr. There might be familiar to some Lobo fans. He played for Fresno State last year, but it's not the only school he's played for. Jemarl is going into his 7th year of college basketball. A lot of injuries, had a COVID year in there. Talk a lot to Jemarl about why that is, why in year 7 is he still in college, and his journey's an interesting one. I think you're going to enjoy this conversation we have with Jemarl, what his role on the team is expected to be on the court and off the court as a 25-year-old guard who's coming in to really play that 3 spot. And he saw Jalen House, he saw Jamal Mashburn Jr. across the court from him and scouted them, and he knows what his role is going to be on this team, and I think you're going to enjoy this conversation with him. Hope you enjoy this conversation. Hope you enjoy all these podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal Podcast Network, and give me the feedback that you want to hear from future shows, maybe future guests. If you have questions, let me know. grammer@abqjournal.com is how you can get me on email anytime or on Twitter @JeffGrammer. For now, hope you enjoy this conversation with Division I transfer Jemarl Baker Jr., Lobo guard, and this is episode 65 of the Talking Grammar podcast. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeff Grammer here, and I am here as with Jemarl Baker Jr., and he is a transfer guard, one of the 4 Division I transfer guards for the UNM Lobos. Jemarl, thanks for being here.
Of course. I'm glad to be here.
You have been in Albuquerque now. I know you were here some in the spring, got to go home some in the summer, so you've been here a couple stints now. But you've been in Albuquerque long enough where I'm going to ask you so far, what's the impression of being at UNM, of being a Lobo, and just of Albuquerque in general?
I love it so far. I love it. I love the atmosphere. I love going into practice every day with the guys, all of the guys. It's a good group of guys. And I've just been enjoying everything, man. I love the city. I love the coaching staff, and I love the players.
And you are, and we're going to get into this, obviously, you are a guy who's been at a couple college stops already, so you have something to compare it to a little bit. Is the vibe around Lobo basketball, is the summer and the offseason vibe around this team one that is conducive to having new guys come in and be big, active participants right away? For sure. I mean, man, I've been enjoying it. I've been feeling the energy around town. And it's been good, man. Like I said, I've been enjoying going to practice every day, and I'm excited for the season. So 2 of the 4 Division I transfers on this year's team have actually played in the pit before. You're one of them. And I'm curious, let's kind of get that out of the way now. What's your memory of playing in the pit? And now that you're kind of practicing in the pit and stuff like that, what are your expectations about the pit?
It was exciting. It was exciting when I played here. The energy was great. It was senior night. And, thankfully I had a pretty good game. I mean, we did lose, but thankfully, I had a pretty good game, but I remember I loved the energy, and when I had the opportunity to come here, I was looking forward to it.
So the visitor bench obviously being right in front of the student section, I'm sure they weren't very nice to you, but you decided to come here anyway. Being at the other bench and not having to sit in front of that student section now, I imagine you have different vibes kind of about what's going to happen this year and playing in the pit.
For sure, man. It's gonna be a great advantage. I know the crowd is crazy, and when you feel that energy as a player, it only helps.
They give it to you pretty good, though?
For sure. I mean, I'm a person that really doesn't pay attention too much to it, and I wasn't on the bench too much either, so I wasn't really too much by them, but definitely felt the energy.
Well, now that you're here, I'll take the pit out of the equation. Then we're going to get into more background and stuff like that, but one more pit question. Now that you're here, I'll take the pit out of the equation. You've played in the Mountain West. Best student sections to play against and in front of. Obviously, there's 2 schools in particular a lot of people think are right up there with student sections, and that's Utah State and San Diego State. But I'm going to leave it to you. What's the best or loudest, maybe most intimidating opposing venue to playing in the Mountain West?
I would say, my first year at San Diego State, playing against San Diego State, I didn't play, but I was on the bench because I was injured.
That's probably worse, actually, to be on the bench because you're right there and you're not in the game. You're not as distracted. They're giving it to you on the bench. For sure,
but I love it, though. I love it. I love that stuff. It's not very intimidating to me, but I love it. But playing at Utah State last year was their crowd was pretty good, and it was pretty loud in there.
Student sections at both of those places, the show and the herd at Utah State, the show at San Diego State, They get after you guys, after you players quite a bit, and like it's weird and probably kind of freaky when you're the player yourself because they know a lot about you.
For sure.
Utah State in particular, like they study up on you guys.
Yeah, it's fun though, man. I love that stuff. That's what kind of like it helps me get going.
All right, man. Let's go do some background because for Lobo fans that don't know, college basketball junkies probably know your name. You've been in college basketball for a while, so they probably know your name. Lobo fans that don't know a lot about you, I kind of want to run down the background a little bit with you, and hopefully you won't have to go through this a whole lot. But for the Lobo fans that don't know, I kind of want to start with coming out of high school. I mean, you were a top recruit, you were a top 100 recruit, a 4-star guy. I know. See if I get this right. Eleanor Roosevelt, did you win a state title with them? So back in California, you win a state title. Your junior year, LA Times has you as an LA Times All-Star, and that was in 2016. It's with two of the Ball brothers, Lonzo. Was it both Ball brothers, or was it just Lonzo Ball? I can't remember now. Was it both Ball brothers? But anyway, you're on an All-Star team back your junior year, and like there's some good names on that list. Like you were right up there in California coming out of high school. Tell me about your high school playing days a little bit.
For sure, man. High school was so fun, man. High school was great. I just I kind of like remember the tough times of high school, and meaning like my high school was 40 minutes from my house.
Okay.
So waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning to try to get there before school to be able to work out, and mainly waking up at 4 or 5 to try to miss traffic to get out there and be able to work out before school and things like that. But going there, working out with my dad, working out with my trainer, Eder Sanchez, it was those were tough times, but all of that working out that I did, it got me better and it got me ready for moments to play against guys like that and play in big games for sure.
You mentioned your dad there a little bit. You some basketball in your family. You were telling me 3 older sisters.
Yes.
4 kids in the family. You're the youngest of 4.
Yeah.
3 older sisters. One played basketball. Is she coaching too, or
she's coaching now?
Where's she coaching?
She's coaching. She just got the head coaching job at Merced JC.
Very cool.
Yes.
Okay, so you got an older sister who played some ball.
Mm-hmm.
How much older than you is she?
She's almost 4 years.
Okay, so who was the better player growing up?
She killed me growing up, man.
With 4 years, she probably had it on you a little bit.
She killed me growing up. Like, wouldn't let me score. My dad having to go out there setting screens. I used to go inside crying and stuff like that. But at some point, like early high school, then I started being able to start beating her.
And that was when she probably stopped playing you?
Then we stopped playing because we were about to fight one time. We were about to fight. My moms broke it up so we couldn't play against each other no more.
What's her name?
Anaya.
Yeah.
That's
awesome, man. And Dad played some ball in college too?
Yes.
He and obviously you're a junior, so Jemarl Baker senior.
Yes.
The spelling of the name, I know I asked you about this once. I do want Lobo fans to know when they see the spelling of your name, it is Jemarl.
Yes.
As a Jeff with a G that gets mispronounced all the time. I understand sometimes that people don't want it to be just the most common pronunciation, but it is just Jemarl. Do you get some weird pronunciations of it sometimes?
For sure. Jemarl, Jamari sometimes if they don't know it's an L at the end. I get all kind of stuff.
I imagine through the years you've heard quite a bit about that. But coming out of high school, anyway, those 4 or 5 a.m., getting up every morning, got you to be a 4-star recruit, a top 100 recruit. And your first stop out of high school was with the Kentucky Wildcats. And Coach Cal, obviously, you get recruited by Kentucky. What made you go to Kentucky? What kind of convinced you that Kentucky was where you wanted to go?
Well, that first year with they had Shea coming in, Hamidou Diallo coming in, Kevin Knox. It was just a bunch of guys.
That was a class, man.
For sure. But the one thing that they said that they were lacking when they came to my school and met with me was shooting. And it was just going to be an opportunity for me to go in there and just, showcase what I do best and be able to stretch the floor and things like that. And for me, my goal was always to play in the NBA. And, no matter where you go, you have to be really good in order to do that. So I just thought it was a great opportunity for me, and I wanted to just be able to prove myself.
The 2017-18 year, that is the freshman year, and you already mentioned a couple of those guys. That Kentucky team gets to the Sweet 16. It loses to Kansas State, if I'm not mistaken. Some of those teammates playing in the NBA right now at a pretty high level, obviously.
Sure.
Now, you didn't play that year. Were you injured there your first year? What was the injury your first year? And we'll go through some of these injuries because you had a bunch of them.
For sure. Well, my state championship game in high school, I actually tore my meniscus.
Okay.
The state championship game. And I got surgery probably like a month after that or close to a month after that. And I don't know if I retore my meniscus that summer while I was rehabbing, or if the surgery didn't go well. I'm not too sure. But I had to end up getting another meniscus surgery in October.
It wasn't ready.
No.
Yeah.
So I had to get another meniscus surgery, and it was kind of tore up in October right before the season. And then that caused me to be out the whole season.
Were you hurt in high school much?
No.
So this is your first experience of really having to miss a lot of actual playing time and stuff like that.
For sure.
How was that freshman year? Your first taste of having to sit out and watch teammates play?
It was tough, man. It was really tough because I'm most of the time a quiet guy. Yeah. So basketball was kind of like my way to be able to express myself and just like prove who I was basically. And going in there, not being able to play and just going in there, I mean, being a California kid on the East Coast, a lot of people like question your toughness and things like that. So going through those injuries, it was kind of a tough time for me. But that second year out, when I got on the court, I was able to prove my worth a little bit.
You did have some good games that second year. Again, you got Tyler Hero, you got PJ Washington. I guess he was on both. PJ was on both those teams, yes. Right? Again, some guys playing in the NBA. That was a 30-7 Kentucky team that you played on that second year in 2018-19 season. And Elite Eight lost to Auburn. Like you were playing at a high level. Like that's some high level competition. People were gunning for you guys the whole time. Your entire Kentucky experience, those 2 years, what's the, I guess, biggest takeaway you have from playing at Kentucky, and why did you decide to move on?
Well, my best times there were definitely just in the locker room with the teammates to start off. Yeah. I still talk to a lot of the guys now. Still great friends. I haven't seen them in a long time, but I mean we talk all the time. But
I'm thinking about 3 or 4 of those guys are in the NBA.
Yeah, 3 or 4, maybe more.
Yeah, it might be more than that.
Maybe
actually,
more. Yeah, maybe more. But that was exciting. But just the level that it was on, just having to be ready every single game, every single practice. Really, the practices are really as competitive as they were. That's what really got us ready for the games. To be that young and play on that stage. That's definitely what got us ready. So
I was going to say probably a pretty good lesson, too, to learn right out of the high school that the competition and in the practices sometimes, like when it's that high like it was at Kentucky, I imagine that was probably a pretty good lesson for you to learn.
Yeah, for sure. Playing against those guys every day in practice and going at it with them, it definitely made the games easier. Going into the games, you weren't really nervous or anything like that because you're playing against the best talent in college basketball and the most athleticism in college basketball too. So it was definitely exciting going into the games and competing against everybody else.
You go from Kentucky to Arizona for 2 seasons. 2019-20 season, you did play 32 games at Arizona. 2.3 assists off the bench. I mean, that's a lot of assists. You had a 3.2 to 1 assist to turnover ratio. A couple guys that have made it to the NBA on that roster too. 2020-21 season. 12 starts and then a wrist injury. So 2 years in Arizona, we're talking another injury kind of comes into play. What's your big takeaway about Arizona and some of the guys you played with there, what you learned from your 2 years in Tucson?
Man, that was exciting too. My first year had another injury going into the season, had a little hip injury. So
going into your first year at Arizona, you were injured, another injury. Yes. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, for sure. So I've definitely dealt with a few injuries that have been unfortunate because I think my journey would have been different, but everything happens for a reason, for sure. But it was exciting, man. Playing in that atmosphere was great too. Playing with the people that I played with, I have great friends from there, lifelong friends from there as well. And I mean, it was definitely fun competing on that level.
You at Arizona, obviously, we're talking already a knee injury that maybe started in high school in that championship game, or obviously did start in that championship game in high school. A hip injury going into the Arizona year 1. And then the wrist injury in year 2, what was the wrist injury about? Do you remember exactly how it happened?
Yeah, we were playing against UCLA, and it was like side out of bounds, and they were trying to inbound it into the backcourt. And I went for a steal and kind of got bumped and just fell and just tried to catch my fall like regularly and got up, and I knew I felt something. So I got up, I grabbed the ball, I passed it, and I felt something. I looked down at my wrist. And I was like, this feels a little odd. So, but I didn't think it was broken. I kept playing the rest of the half, and it was like 2 minutes into the game. And kept playing the rest of the half, got a couple buckets, and coming out of halftime, I tried to shoot in the layup lines and airballed bad. Like, couldn't even like barely like follow through.
So at halftime, when you kind of sat for a little bit, it probably actually kind of caught up to you.
For sure.
The adrenaline maybe dropped a little bit.
So after I shot that, I ran into the locker room and talked to my trainer, and he like taped it up. And I played for like, I want to say like the first minute or two in the second half, and then they took me out because he kind of figured it was broken at that point. And didn't play the rest of the game. Got an X-ray after the game, and they said it was broken.
And that's it. That's the it for that season at Arizona.
Yes. After
Arizona comes 2 years at Fresno State. I will point out that you did get a degree at Arizona.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, I have it written down here. You got a degree in communications from the University of Arizona.
Yes.
Moving on to Fresno State. Again, you get to Fresno State, and how did that first year go at Fresno State?
It was tough. Another injury.
Yeah.
I played a couple games early, and I was having like some chronic pain in my knee, and
was
played
it the
a couple
same knee?
games. Yes.
Okay.
Played a couple games on that, and then I had to sit out because it was doing too bad. And then I started playing again. Played solid. I mean, from being out, I was out of shape and things like that. Played solid my first game, and then the second game I played well. And I was on a minutes restriction as well. And then the third game I ended up tearing my other meniscus because I was trying to compensate for the other knee. So sat out the rest of that year, and then going into my second year, ended up having surgery. Going into my second year, I had to rehab the whole summer.
Yep.
And then I was barely practicing early in the year, and then just basically having to use the games to try to get in shape.
So we're talking, I think you were down in the books for 5 games that first year at Fresno State.
Yes.
One of those games, I mean, to your point, like you were feeling good when you did play on minutes restriction, but you had an 18-point game against a good UC Irvine team. You go into that second year, you start all 28 games you played. This was just last year at Fresno State, 2022-2023 season for those that remember or followed the Mountain West last year. You had a good year, man. Like first time in a long time you got to play that long, and 12.5 points, 2.9 assists. You had a 43-point game against Chicago State. Obviously, that's crazy scoring, highest scoring game in the Mountain West from any player last year. It wasn't a non-conference game, but I also have the note here. This is from UNM's Steve Kirkland here, first Division I player with 40 or more points, in which you also made 10 3-pointers and shot 90% from three. I don't know if that was from Steve or if that was from an assist maybe from Fresno State, but either way, like when you're putting up numbers and you get to have any stat that's the first D1 player to ever do it, tell me about that Chicago State game, man. 43 points is crazy.
Man, it was fun, man. It was really fun. Had the family there. It was senior night. And when I took my first shot, it was all net, and I knew I felt good. And then I took the second one, it was all net too. And then after that, I knew I was kind of rolling. And I just tried to block out all of the distractions and not think about it too much. And I mean, I just thank God that the shots kept going in.
Your experience at Fresno State, I guess, was what you meet. Obviously, Tarvish Felton. We'll get into that a little bit coming here. But playing for Justin, playing with some of those guys that obviously your friends there, just like they were at each of your previous stops. Arizona, you made friends, and Kentucky, you make friends. All these stops, some of the guys you played with, and just your experience playing at Fresno State. What's the big takeaway? Man, it was fun, man. I love everybody over there. And I mean, the biggest thing that helped me over there were they really like helped me get healthy. Throughout the season, I did so many things to try to stay healthy, getting treatment around the clock and things like that. And man, they really did everything they could to try to get me healthy, and I really appreciate them for that. We're now, as we go through, that is 6 years for those scoring at home. That is now 6 seasons of college basketball. We listed knee injury, hip injury, wrist injury, knee injury, and then the other knee gets injured while compensating probably for that knee injury. Throw in a COVID year, and we are now talking with 25-year-old Jemarl Baker Jr., who is going into his 7th season of college basketball. Not a whole lot of people have done that.
Yeah.
And I imagine you're going to have some people give you a hard time about it. But the journey, as you said, is what got you here, and it wasn't the journey you picked.
For sure.
But I'm curious what you learned through all that adversity and why you're still doing it, man. Like, obviously, basketball is what you do, but it takes something special to have all those kind of injuries, and still you got one more go around with it, and you took that opportunity.
For sure. I mean, I have a great support staff around me, like with my family. they encouraged me so much, man. I've definitely had times where I wanted to stop playing because of the injuries, where my knees were just killing. Even like during games last year, my knees were killing, and I'm talking to my parents like, I don't know if I want to do it after this year. But I just put all my faith in God, really, man. Put all my faith in God, because I know that if I'm healthy, then I know the type of player that I am. Because I've had pretty good seasons while playing injured, pretty good seasons while being out of shape and things like that. So I just want to just continue to get in shape, continue to be healthy, continue to trust in God, and just see where it can take me.
When I talked to you when you committed, one of the again I mentioned earlier, but one of the 4 Division I transfers that the Lobos got. When I talked to you in the spring when you committed, you weren't yet done, and I'll ask you now: did you finish your master's from Fresno State? So, anybody who wants to have a good time with the fact that you're in your 7th year, you're doing also what you're supposed to do, in that you have a bachelor's degree from University of Arizona. You have a master's degree in, remind me what it's in?
Curriculum instruction.
So you have a bachelor's and a master's, and you're also having a little fun playing some college basketball as we go along here. So you're getting the most out of what you can get out of this college experience, aren't you?
For sure, man, for sure. I'm just trying to do everything I can, man. Really just trying to do everything I can. I mean, I've been doing all of my schoolwork and stuff like that.
Yeah.
My mom is real proud. I never even thought I would have my master's, honestly. But that's just the way God works, man. That's the way God works, and I've been enjoying the journey.
Well, I'm curious. You said mom's proud.
Yeah.
Mom probably isn't okay with you being in college that long without getting those degrees.
Oh, my God, man. She would have killed me if I wasn't.
Forget those injuries.
For sure. And when I first went to Fresno, I didn't know how many years I had left.
Yeah.
I only thought I had 1 when I got to Fresno. But my mom was like, you might as well start on your master's. And I only thought I had 1 year, so I would have had to, do college 2 years to be able to get it.
Yeah.
So she was like, you can just do it this 1 year, and then you can go back to school and get it at some point whenever you want to. And, it just so happened that I had an extra year and then an extra year, so I was able to get my master's.
So obviously you're taking at least some class at this point, but you already have your master's.
Yes.
Now that you are here at UNM, I kind of want to move on. All that background that we just went over, it brought you to Albuquerque somehow. What was it that maybe had Patino, Tarvish Felton, I mentioned he was an assistant at Fresno when you were there at Fresno State. He is now here. I want to know what role he had. Was he the introductory, at least, like the reach out,
yes,
to sort of see if you were interested in all that kind of stuff? What got you here, and then what were you told? Like, you know what this team is. You know that there's a couple high-volume shooters on the team and guards and all that. You knew some seniors were leaving, a guy like Morris Udeze. So you knew that there were opportunities on this team, but you also knew that there were a couple guys that are probably going to put up a lot of shots. I'm curious, what were you told your role might be by the coaches, and how did they recruit you here?
Well, first of all, just playing against them, I knew the brand of basketball that they played. I knew they played really fast, and I knew they got they play with a lot of freedom. And, I like to play with freedom. And playing with house and mash and just in practice, it's been great. I'm a person that likes to pass the ball. I'm a person that can do a lot of different things on the court, I like to think. So, I just want to come out here and lead and impact winning in any way I can. I don't care to be the guy that takes the most shots.
Yeah.
I really never have. And all I want to do is come in here and win. And basically to get me here, they just said that with the people leaving, that I would just be able to be the perfect guy to fit in that spot with the way I play.
Yeah.
I can do a lot of things. So just to do whatever is needed, whether it's play to 1 or play to 4 or anything like that, I would have the opportunity to go do it, and I would be able to impact winning.
All right, well, you just mentioned playing the 1 and playing the 4. I think that's a good spot here. I had your coach, Richard Patino, on this podcast. Split into a 2-part episode, but I had him here just last week, and he was talking about all the new players on the team. When he talked about you, he had a lot to say. I want you to give a listen here to what Richard Patino said when he was on this podcast, and he was telling us a little something about Jemarl Baker Jr.
Veteran, you love being around him. I could legitimately play him at 4 different positions, and he would not miss a beat. I have played him. We've only practiced 5 times, but I have played him at the 1, 2, 3. I've not played him at the 4 yet, but I'm envisioning maybe trying it, see what it looks like. Just knows how to play. We just play so different offensively than Fresno State, where I wasn't sure what I was going to get either. elite passer. I mean, phenomenal passer. Maybe the best passer on the team. Donovan's a terrific passer as well. The key to him is just staying healthy.
Yeah.
When he's healthy, and last year he was, he's gonna make an impact. He's been. You hate to say one guy, but he's been impressive so far, and he's lost a lot of weight. But there's just there's a level of maturity to him that you love to see.
What do you think? Is that a good summation of what the Lobos are getting in you?
For sure. I love it, and I love Coach P too. He's been phenomenal. I like the way he coaches. I like the style of play that we've been playing. I like the offense. I like everything about it, and I think that everything we've been doing is going to be able to showcase my skills as well.
Is he as funny as he thinks he is?
Oh, yeah. Nah, for sure.
He is?
Yeah,
no,
definitely.
Don't feed
definitely.
that.
Hey, I'm not a person to come up here and lie. I'm telling you.
He's your coach. You better say nice things about him, but he tries to be funny with me. No.
Yeah.
He says you can play you at any one of 4 positions, the 1 through the 4. You've played point guard and shooting guard in the past, I imagine quite a bit.
Yeah.
Have you played much 3, and have you played any 4?
I've definitely played a lot of 3. Okay. Even last year at Fresno, when we would go small, I'll go to the 3 a little bit and things like that. But I haven't played the 4 yet, but I don't expect that I would be uncomfortable or anything like that. The only thing I would really have to do is learn the plays, which I have done.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty strong as well. So I'm not really too worried about it.
And in the Mountain West, not a whole lot of true centers, I wouldn't say. There's not a whole lot of 7-footers for sure. So there is a lot of 4 out, 1 in. And once you're starting to go 4 out and 1 in, while it is a 4 is the number and the position, you can get away with not as much height maybe at that 4 spot when you're going 4 out, 1 in. And you guys, it sounds like, will be doing that some. So he also said elite passer, though. I know what your assist numbers have been. I knew you could pass. I was a little surprised to hear him throw that much praise on you. I know you guys got some good passers. Jalen, I know, can pass. I know Donovan, I've seen some great passes out of him. What do you think when you hear your coach describe you as an elite passer?
I love it. Like I said, I like passing the ball. Yeah. I enjoy it. And having the players around me that I have around me, I'm able to do that. So it's just showcasing more of my skills.
He said something, too, that's obvious to the whole background we went through earlier, and the key to him is just staying healthy, is what he said. What do you have to do to prepare for that, and how different is that from here in 2023 to 4, 5, 6 years ago when there's one thing to get ready for a basketball season, there's another when it's like all about trying to keep your body healthy year round and all that. Like what kind of things are you doing different now to stay healthy?
Man, just staying in the weight room with Coach Flores and in the training room with Ben. That's all I can really do, and then leave it to God after that. I mean, there's a lot of, for sure. They've been great, man, and I've been enjoying every bit of it. They put me through extra work and stuff like that, and I haven't complained one bit because I know it's a big deal to try to stay healthy. But I mean, accidents happen all the time. We can see with Aaron Rodgers and things like that, which is unfortunate. But all we can do is just put it in God's hands and I mean, work as hard as we can, really.
What do you see your role as? I know we kind of talked a little bit about sort of maybe what coach sees your role as, the positions you might play. There was a guy last year on this team that came in as a 5th-year guy to Wichita State, Morris Udeze, who coincidentally actually happened to room with 3 freshmen, Quentin, Braden, and Donovan, and they called him Uncle Mo. And he was a guy that was as much mentor as he was on-court presence for this team. How comfortable are you with being a veteran mentor to younger players? Are you comfortable with that, or is it just kind of a do as I, watch me do what I do, but like don't say a whole lot? Because I know you said you're a little quiet. Are you a vocal leader? Can you lead these young guys?
I'm not necessarily the most vocal guy. I mean, I talk when I feel like there's something that needs to be said for sure. But not the most vocal guy, but definitely lead in any way I can. Whether it's talking to the young guys, whether it's even talking to House or Mash on something that I feel like that I can just help them with, and I mean vice versa too. Whether it's the young guys talking to me or House or Mash or anybody talking to me, I'm a good listener as well. So just lead in any way I can and impact winning in any way I can as well. I mean, I don't need to go out there and score 30, and I can just go out there and play the right way and just impact winning in any way I can, and just whatever's needed.
You've mentioned a couple of those teammates. I'm going to transition now and kind of start wrapping up here with what you think about these teammates that you're playing with. We'll get into season expectations in just a minute, but so far you saw them from afar for a couple of years. You saw some of these players while you were at Fresno State, but now that you're here, you're playing, you're practicing with them. What's it like playing with a Jalen House? What's it like playing with a Jemarl Mashburn Jr.? Two guys that you saw, in scouts, but now you're in the gym with them.
Yeah, man, it's great. I've gotten so many open shots playing with them.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure. And, I already knew how they played coming in, and I love the way they play as well. So it's been great. Practicing with them has been great. Like I said, I've been getting open shots, and I like to think I've been getting them open shots as well. Yeah. And it's only going to help us when the games come.
And it's not, as you just said, everybody kind of wonders. Those are the two big names on the team for the last couple of years. But it's not just about, like, them getting you open shots. Like, what can you do to maybe help those two guys? Like, what do you maybe see, maybe even being in that opposing team where you scouted against them? How much do you talk to them about, like, this is what we saw on film when we played you, and, this is how we tried to do something against you? How much are you helping them?
I'm talking to them in any ways that I can. Yeah. And most of the time it's me just trying to take pressure off of them when we're, just on both ends of the court, whether it's communicating on defense and things like that, whether it's talking about little things I see, like on offense, just while we're in the middle of play and things like that. Just trying to help them in any way I can. And they're great players already, so it's not much that needs to be said. But any input either way from them, or if I can help them with something, I definitely talk to them. Luckily,
this isn't on you to make decisions on minutes played and all that kind of stuff. But between you and three other Division I transfers who all weren't just sitting benches where they were playing, they were all starters, yourself included. You got Mash, you got House. You guys got some guys with some D1 experience on this team. I imagine this is probably the most experienced team you've ever played on, because Arizona and Kentucky, while they had guys that might be playing in the NBA right now, those are young guys that were moving on quickly. I can't imagine you've ever played on a team that has the type of experience this team has. What's that like compared to the rest of your college career?
Man, it's great. It's great. It's kind of early, so yeah. We still have a lot of stuff to do to put it all together. So basically getting the feel for each other, trying to gel right now. Like I said, it's early. We haven't even started official practice yet, but everybody knows how to play. Everybody has a pretty high IQ. So it's been fun, man. But definitely when the games come, we'll definitely feel the experience a lot more.
I know I've just seen a couple summer workouts too, and like these young guys look good too, though.
For sure,
you guys got a lot of experience. I don't know how the young guys carve, their way into the minutes, but man, like even some of those freshmen, those sophomores didn't get a lot of playing time last year. Donovan did, but the other two didn't. Like, there's some youth on this team that's going to push you guys too, I would think.
Yeah, we have so many people that can play. We have all the talent in the world, all the talent that we need. Now it's just time to put it together, and then when the games come, just being disciplined when it's time to.
I'll put you on the spot for one more player question. It's just summertime. You mentioned when this airs, you guys have not actually officially started practice yet. You guys just have the kind of practices where you can get into groups and limited minutes and all that. So official practice hasn't started yet. So I know this is all with the understanding that, like, let's see what happens when the season starts kind of stuff. Anybody on this team that surprises you so far, though, that you didn't know anything about, or maybe what you knew about them has not been at all what you've seen?
I would say a few players really. Yeah. The way Braden shoots, he can really shoot the ball. JT, he's been killing. He's been dominating inside. He's going to be real good, man. And then True, the way his tenacity defensively in practice has been, it's been making everybody better. He's getting steals. He's jumping the passing lanes and things like that. Man, we have a lot of guys that can do a lot of different things that's going to help us win.
You guys going to play some defense this year?
For sure. That's the plan. We've been working on it.
The expectation then, we will wrap it up with this, is you've been on some really high-level teams. It'd be unfair to ask you to compare it to some of those Kentucky teams, but I'm curious if you see the makings of a potential NCAA tournament team with this. Do you see a Mountain West champion contender type team? Do you see the makings so far? Again, we're only in September, but do you see the makings of that level team with what you see with the Lobos so far?
Yeah, definitely. We have the talent to do whatever we want to do. I mean, it's just about the discipline and all coming together, really. I mean, there's a lot of teams with the talent that don't have the success that they want to, because it's all about the discipline and really getting stops when we need to, and just making the big plays when it's time to be made. But we definitely have the talent to win. I mean, the Mountain West Championship and the National Championship, we have the talent to do it, but we just have to put it all together and be disciplined to do it.
Awesome, man. I know it's still a few weeks away, but about 6 weeks away before we get some exhibitions and some early season games. But I appreciate you for coming on. Lobo fans are going to love watching this team, I think. I think they're going to love getting to know you, and I very much appreciate you for your time and for coming on this podcast, man.
Of course, man. I appreciate it. Had a great time.
Thanks. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Jemarl Baker Jr., new UNM Lobo guard. He's one of the 4 Division I transfers. He's got a great story to tell, as you just heard, and he is going into his 7th year of college. A lot of injuries. You feel sorry for a guy like that. You also have to give him a lot of props for taking full advantage of what's gone on. He still has 1 year left to play. Came to Albuquerque, came to UNM to do it. He does have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. He's getting the most out of this opportunity he has, and he has 1 year left to play in college, and he's hoping that he does quite a bit with the Lobos. I think Lobo fans are going to enjoy getting to know him a little bit. Hopefully this podcast helped Lobo fans get to know him a little bit, since he's one of the newcomers. Hope you're enjoying these podcasts. Hope you're enjoying all these conversations that we have as part of this show, the Talking Grammar podcast. We also have another podcast going every week, the Midweek Blitz. It's a high school football podcast that we have with high school sports editor James Yotis and I, kind of going over the games of the week, the big high school football storylines of the week, players, stars of the week. We're hitting it all with that podcast, and this one is part of the Albuquerque Journal's kind of ongoing digital trend, and we're moving forward on a lot of digital products like these. And these, I hope you're enjoying. Give me the feedback. We need your feedback, because you guys as listeners and watchers and viewers and readers of the abqjournal.com content are the important part of all this. So let us know what you think. ggrammar@abqjournal.com is my email. @JeffGrammer is my Twitter account. Let me know what you think. Give me a story comment or show comments, future story ideas, questions for guests, all that kind of stuff. It's all part of the Albuquerque Journal podcast network. Read, hear, watch.